Peace to the planet. You know what it is. D to the bishop. I have serious sinus issues. I have serious hay fever issues. I've had it for years. It's ruined a lot of the last half of my life. Um, I had a sinus infection that turned into some kind of internal inflammation that just never really goes away. Uh, but I'm super serious about conveying this message, and so please bear with it. And I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. I have two things I want to talk to you about today, with you about today. The first is patience. Patience is a big part of being a Stoic, and today I got several lessons on that. So I've been waiting to get this doctor's appointment for months. Okay. So then I had two appointments set up. One is for a shot to get the shingles vaccine. It's a two-shot thing. And the other one's a general checkup to start getting ready to go do my second colonoscopy. Yeah, I'm 56 and I'm black. It's about that time. Um, and I had some, jujitsu injuries to revisit and um a whole bunch of other stuff. So I go to the hospital and I pull up and I'm like, yeah, I was kind of rushed when I got there, but I was talking to Pops on the phone, hop off, running in the spot. Oh yeah, I'm here for my, 11:30. It's like, 11:15, something like that. She goes, oh, I'm sorry, you're late. I said, what? Ain't nobody late. I'm like, early. She's like, no, 11:15 is your time for your vaccine. I was like, oh, when Kaiser sent me the things, it sent me two updates, right? And the second one was at 11:30. So I was thinking 11:30 was the time, not realizing 10:30 was the time for the actual appointment, and 11:30 was the shot. And I said, hey, look, this is not okay. I worked too hard, too many days. We need solutions. What are we gonna do? She goes, okay, well, let me call the guy and see if I can find him. So she calls. She goes, just have a seat. She goes, tell you what, go get your shot, come back, and then I'll have an answer. I'll have an answer. I said, okay, cool. So I go get the shot. Booty, come out. All right, cool. What are they saying? She goes, okay. He said he can see you in an hour. Oh, no problem. Can you wait for an hour? I said, yeah. She goes, but can you wait like right here? Like don't leave, don't come back in an hour. I said, yeah, cool, cool. I said, but can I get one favor? She goes, yeah. I said, I just need to go to the car and get something out of my car. Is that cool? She's like, yeah, no problem. I'll see you in a few minutes. So I speed, walk outside, and when I get to the parking lot, I realize I don't know where my car is. I was so distracted talking on the phone to my dad that I don't know where my car is. So I'm like, dude, where's my car? But, as luck would have it, it didn't take that much time for me to do it, but it wasn't a straight in and out. You feel me? So I come back upstairs and she's like, the doctor was just looking for you. Where'd you go? I said, I told you I had to go. She's like, oh, okay, let me call him again. That's why we didn't want you to leave. I sat down. The dichotomy of control. I'm not in control of what's going on right now, like at all. So there was no reason to get upset. The old me would have been hot. And for a minute, I started to get hot. But then I had to take personal accountability. Kaiser sent me the times. If I mix them up, that's on me. And whatever I have to deal with because I messed up, I have to be patient with. So I was like, don't trip, dog. So I just sat there for a few minutes. Boom, dude comes out. I get in, blood pressure's immaculate. Come on, man, it's D's, but I get my blood pressure immaculate, going to the thing. Doctor comes in. He's hella cool. We start running over things from allergies to old jujitsu injuries to, you know, colonoscopies and Socrates hypotheses. Um, and so he's like, all right, you got to get an x-ray for that. go get a prescription for this. And then I remembered I was supposed to get my glasses because I went to go get some new glasses. And they were late. They hadn't shown up. So, needless to say, it just took a little longer than I thought. What should have been in reality like a quick little checkup and then bounce turned into like a 4 hour hospital visit, me moving between buildings, da da da. So right when I get to the end, I'm like, yo, let me go to the eye spot and see what's going on with these glasses though. So I slide up. I'm like, yo, you know what I'm saying? It's overdue, you know what I'm saying? That lady looked, and then she kind of squinted her eyes and she looked at me. She looked at me. She said, yeah, sir, unfortunately, they're still putting some of the stuff on your glasses. Like basically telling me, bro, like I'm so blind that they had to go get a spaceship, send it out to the NASA telescope, Hubble, carve two little discs off of it, put it in my glasses, and they're still sandblasting it with the laser from the sun to prepare it. It's not ready. Like, blood, you're hella blind. Don't be asking about these glasses again. That was the energy she gave me, blood. Patience. The old me would have been hot. The new me don't care. You know what I'm saying? Started to get hot under the collar for half a second, and I was like, dichotomy of control. And I thought about how important patience is, right? Like, there were certain times where I was frustrated with the overall experience, but that was on me. I messed up. I messed up, you know? It's important to be able to own your mistakes if you know you made them. And this is one of the benefits that I get from Stoic journaling. I am challenging everyone who's listening to give themselves 3 weeks, 21 days of straight Stoic journaling. Now, I have journaled in other ways before. I have many years of journals. I have tons. I have 7 years of journals. I've been journaling, doing Stoic journaling for a really long time. Um, and I'm going to share how to do Stoic journaling. But first, I want to start with this. Why? Why are we Stoic journaling? We're Stoic journaling because you don't know how to assess anything you're really thinking about until you write it down, until you can look at it, look at your own ideas, look at your own patterns. You'll always be grasping at straws in this space of mental health and self improvement. I'm not kidding. I'm not just speaking from my personal experience. There's a lot of clinical data to show that when you journal and you start to refine how you think about thinking and how you think about thinking about yourself, you get deep interior fundamental change. So, what is Stoic journaling? Stoic journaling is this: you ask yourself 5 questions at the end of every day. I'm all this up to you. Can you see it? Okay. That don't work. This was a bad idea. Question one: what did I do well today? That's the first question. What did I do well today? And you might say, well, I don't know. That's the beginning. What is good? What is good to you in your day? That's number one. Number two, what did I do bad? Well, what's bad? Right? Like, is it bad that you played 5 hours of, you know, Splinter Cell or whatever the hot game is right now, GTA? 5 or 6 hours feels like a lot, but if you've been burnt out, it could be one of the good things. You got it. What is good and bad in your day? Where was my self control or self discipline tested? This has two elements, right? Like maybe maybe your boss had a birthday, offered you some cake. You said you were going to be on a diet because you're trying to lose 10 pounds, but then when the boss offered you the cake, you ate it. Did you lose your self control or self discipline? Why? Right? That's the next question. Why did this occur? Well, I know I said I was trying to lose weight, but it's my boss. Promotions are coming up. He offered cake. I didn't want to be like I'm not on the in crowd, so I ate. Or the boss offered me the cake and I said, you know what? I'm trying to lose 10 pounds. So I can't eat it. And then your boss is like, what? Oh, that's hella discipline. I hella respect you. Now you finna get the promotion anyway, my G. Right? So you got to ask why. Why did this occur? I gave in because I wanted to be part of the in crowd, even though I'm trying to keep this deal to myself. Or B, I actually held to my joint and regardless of whom or what, and this was the outcome. Right? And then five. Five is the most important. How can I improve? A Stoic is always asking himself or herself or themselves, how can I be better at what I'm doing? How can I actually be better? So I'm challenging you to do 21 days of Stoic journaling, answering these. And you might say, well, sometimes I just like to free write, bro. And sometimes I like to. That's fine. But for 21 days, you do that too. You make that the priority. Why? Why? Well, the reason is because when you do this for 21 days and then you start going through, you'll see the patterns of where you make mistakes. You'll see who really makes you angry. You'll find out the days you get upset. You'll find out the ways in which you do or you don't keep your word to yourself with your diet, with your workouts, how you engage people. You'll start to see the patterns. And without those patterns, you won't be able to really assess how to improve yourself. You'll just be grasping at straws. It's hard in the beginning. If I showed you my first Stoic journals, very cornball. I didn't know what nothing was. And like it was one or two sentences, right? And then one day you get in and you lock in and you write paragraphs about how your self-discipline was tested. You're doing paragraphs about why. You're doing paragraphs about how you can improve. And I have many years of these, man. Many years. I don't even know if this was going to show up. Is it going to show up? Hey, it made it. Ooh, this is one of my favorite ones. Hiroshige. That's what this venue is called. The Great Wave of Kanagawa. That's Hiroshige. Unlike Hokusai. Different. Right. So you can see I go through different themes. Right. This one is fresh. This was a gift. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the homie Brian. Got a lock on it. Lord of the Rings style. You feel me? Um, these came from my lady. Um, but like, let me just kind of read what it's like when I go through one. You know what I'm saying? Um, So, get a journal. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to have anything on it. Right now, my latest journal, it should be an arm's distance, but it's not. But it just looks like, the old little black and white notebooks that we used to have in school. You feel me? Like that's what it's from. You know what I mean? Ooh, look at this one. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is April 4th, I think 2025. Yeah. So look. April 4th, reflecting on the 3rd. So normally you do it at the end of the day. What I do sometimes, I'll go to bed, I wake up and I journal the first thing in the morning after having reflected on the previous day. So April 4th, reflecting on the 3rd. What did I do well today? I flew into London from SFO and it was a great trip. Um, I saw my love and we drove straight to Leeds. It was a long drive. I did quote unquote pretty good on my diet. I did have a small amount of sweets, but it's almost nothing compared to what it used to be. I also meditated for at least 90 minutes on the flight, and I did my psoas calf raises to keep my heart good while flying. What was bad? No workout. Now I could have gone deeper, but I was really focusing like it's really bad for me to not do my exercises. Where was my self control and self discipline tested? Custom agents tried to catch me slipping coming out of Heathrow, but I had nothing to hide. I was approached um, a bit aggressively by a custom agent, a woman with the shoulder patch number. because I be remembering. I pay attention. She looked to be of Persian descent, but who knows? I told her I'm a law-abiding citizen anywhere I go in the world, so feel free to look around. She was trying to yell at me a lot initially, but my tone never changed. After going through my backpack, um, and then she went through uh, my big suitcase. She pulled out my meds, um, and and my underwear and all this stuff, and she saw my black belt, and she paused. You train BJJ? She asked inquisitively. I stood up straight and I looked her deeply into her eyes and I said, yes, I am a black belt instructor. She put everything down and said, okay. I had a loose bag of vitamins and her coworker came testing them. He was testing them for drugs. And she said, as soon as he comes back and that's clear, you can go. Um, the other guy, a young dude, said, uh, it came back clean. So she started to help me put my stuff away. The same woman who was yelling at me, being hella disrespectful. Um, I chuckled as we were talking, and I used 444 breathing and never allowed myself to be rattled inwardly or inwardly by her tone. I knew she was trying to rattle me when she first started barking at me. Also, I didn't take the search personally. Was it because I was black? Possibly. Was it because I was in the UK? Border agents, are always, maybe pushing back against some of the stuff Trump is doing to people when they come here. So I couldn't figure out if that was like a retaliatory thing, if it was a racial profiling thing, because it's actually never happened to me before. So my lady said, if you try to, if you go to the airport and you be on your phone when you be at the baggage handler thing, they usually think you taking instructions, and that's when they move on you. So the truth is, you know, we can't really know. All I could do is stay present and use my training, my, Islamic and Stoic training, uh, and empathy to embrace that moment. It was beautiful, alhamdulillah. What can I do better? I must do my yoga and my strength training daily, and that will be my biggest test while traveling, period, even over my diet. Right. And so that's just like one of them. But like one of the things that happens is as you start stacking these things up, you will find that like you start to really get a handle on where you're slipping. You also start to get a handle on where you're really keeping your word to yourself and showing up good. And then that starts to bleed out over into other aspects. I think this is really important because for mental health, unless we're really serious about checking in with ourselves, like everything we're saying is just random, fragmented thoughts. And I don't want you to have random, fragmented thoughts because that's not what helps you heal in the long term. Now, sometimes I do have free writing in here, right? And I enjoy doing my free writing in here. So if I have a crazy dream, if something really good happened, sometimes I do writing meditation where I'll write the words of a mantra down over and over and over again for like 2 or 3 pages, right? Just trying to like get this stuff uh into my neural pathways, right? And then, sometimes I might just like write something like a quote that I found from somewhere, right? Like let me see, I just saw one. Like journaling is cool, man. You need to do it. It's also important though that you're brutally honest with yourself when you write this down. Like if you're not 100% honest with yourself, don't bother journaling. Like don't bother journaling at all. Be 100% honest with yourself about how you feel, why you feel the way you feel, how you think you got there, who you think is responsible, where are you responsible, how will you deal with your own irresponsibility, how will you deal with the irresponsibility of others. Journaling is the cheat code for so much uh, clarity on the self, but few of us really want it, right? There was a guy who wrote this book called The Iceman Inheritance. His name was Michael Bradley. And he wrote this thing where he was saying, like, I'm paraphrasing it horribly, but Michael Bradley was like, look, we don't really want to know ourselves. Most of us don't. We say we do, but we don't. Because in some ways, we know who we are more than we like to pretend. And when you start journaling, man, it gets real serious. And before I go, I just want to say, first of all, thank you to everybody who stayed with me this long, because I know listening to me rattle on about journaling isn't always the coolest thing. But I promise you, it is the coolest thing if you allow yourself to do it. 21 days. 21 days, right? So, one of the things I felt by journaling is that I slept better, right? And then it's proven that journaling reduces cognitive overload. Writing thoughts down offloads mental clutter, freeing up working memory. Research shows this helps people think more clearly and make better decisions by externalizing the quote unquote noise in their heads, right? Journaling also improves emotional regulations. Studies, including work by psychologist James Pennebaker, show that expressive writing helps people process emotions more objectively, leading to clearer perception of their actual situation rather than fear distorted ones. Right? You also get enhanced self-awareness and metacognition. Clinical research shows that journaling activates reflective thinking, helping people recognize thought patterns, biases, and blind spots that cloud judgment about what's real and what's the best course of action. Right? And we live in a time when what we know that, like, um, terms like fake news. I hate saying it out loud, even hearing myself say it. Right, but the reality is that we've never been in a time when there has been less actually understood about the truth, because there's so many fake videos, there's so many AI audio clips, there's so many this, so many that it's really hard to get clear on what's real. And so getting clear on what's real in your own mind has to be and stay the first priority, so that you don't get lumped into the masses and just fall out with the rest of the lemmings on the earth. It also reduces anxiety and rumination. Writing worries down has been clinically shown to quiet the brain's threat response, allowing a person to assess situations more rationally and focus on what they can actually do right now. Right now. It's the only thing that really matters, people. Let's take a look at famous journalers. There's a book called Stillness is Key by Ryan Holiday. Anybody who has any arguments against journaling, go get and listen to Stillness is Key. He talks about famous people who journal and the benefits therein. But I'm just going to give you a few people. Marcus Aurelius, right? The book Meditations is really just are his journal entries, right? That wasn't even meant to be a book. That was just his diary. And we're learning from it all these years later, right? Leonardo da Vinci. I actually, ironically, just saw something on this the other day. He kept thousands of pages of notebooks, blending ideas, sketches, and self-reflection. Use art in your thing. I have which one of these? I was on the flight back from the UK, and that's why I first came up with this thing about Taoism and Confucianism, right? I was listening to Alan Watts, and I was comparing Taoism and Confucianism to gi and no gi jujitsu, right? Um, Confucianism is concerned with formality. Taoists push back with a prescription that suggests that structure is unnatural. 3, the Confucian way of life is for people involved with the world. The Taoist is for the disentangled from the regular lifestyle. The hippies or beatniks and bums of the 70s, they would be Taoists, right? whereas the everyday, middle class person or working class person would have been more of a Taoist, right? Um, the Confucian way of life would have been for the everyday folks, and the Taoists would have been the hippies. Conclusion: Confucian thinking equals the Gi, like Elio and Carlos's way. Taoism equals no Gi, the 10th planet, or the Greg Souders way. You know what I'm saying? The guy that does a lot of the eco jujitsu, right? So I said both, though, are ultimately varying expressions of jujitsu. Now, jujitsu to me equals the Tai Chi, which means the great ultimate. So jujitsu is this big infinite sport and art, right? And philosophy. That's very hard to comprehend, right? And so you see, I made this little thing where you have the yin yang, the gi is the yang, the no gi is the yin, right? And I put both are equal expressions of jujitsu. Um, there is no recipe for jujitsu, just like there is no recipe for the Tao. You know what I'm saying? So this is the kind of stuff I'll throw in between my other things. Sometimes, like one of my jujitsu students, Irvin, he has real sketches of stuff that he does when he does jujitsu. I have a jujitsu journal that's just techniques, ideas, results from sessions I've rolled in, and results and reflections on sessions I've observed, grip patterns, throw sequences, this, that, and the third. And my understanding of jujitsu and my understanding as a teacher, my understanding of jujitsu as a student has completely skyrocketed since I started journaling about jujitsu. And that came to me because Professor Dorian Cartwright told me that Professor Sean Whitmore over at Heroes journals and has journaled almost every role he's ever had for several years. And I called him, I was like, "What, are you serious?" And he was like, "Yeah." And then I started writing a little bit about jujitsu in this one. And then that led to me getting a gift from my lady that was, where was that book at? Which is a small metallic book like this. And then I started doing my whole jujitsu journal, and I have a new one since then, right? So journaling has really changed my life. And I know that a lot of people are in pain. I know that a lot of therapists and a lot of therapy is important, but I want you to get therapy 100%, but always be working on yourself. Don't put the job on your therapist only, right? It's your job to get right. It's your job to be honest when you write stuff on paper. Like, I hate when people go to therapy and lie to themselves and the therapist in the session. Why are you going if you're not even going to be honest with yourself? Why are you going if you're not going to talk about what you feel and the history of your world as you actually experience and recall it? If you don't do that, you're just lying to yourself. So I just feel like on the journey to self-help and a journey to um, really knowing yourself, if you're not being honest with yourself, you're lying to yourself. And the highest form of honesty that you can do is Stoic journaling. That's what I believe. 21 days, look for the habits, and it will change you. It will change how you see yourself. It'll change how you see other people. Before I go, I'll tell you this one. I started journaling. So one day, super raining. I used to have to get up super early in the morning and catch this bus to get to the mall so I could catch BART to go to Berkeley. After Berkeley, this one high school I was working at, I'll go up to Zaytuna College, come back. It was raining this one morning, man. These were the days that I had. I lived like that for really too long in the middle of a divorce. And a lot of days I would walk all the way to the mall and walk all the way back in the rain, in the sun. Remember when they had the crazy blackout in the whole bay pretty much? Yeah, I had to walk in the jet black darkness. Anyway, I get ready to go to this bus stop, and it's me and this old Chinese woman, and it's raining. So the bus pulls up, and I motion to her, "Go ahead." And then she smiles and she says, "You go ahead." But it's raining, bro. I'm a gentleman. I shook my head. I said, "Go ahead." And then her face changes to a mean face. And she's like, "No." And I realized she's afraid of me because I'm black and 6'3". And I got all this clothes on. She's afraid of me. She doesn't want me to be behind her because she thinks I'm going to attack her. I look back at her and now my face is serious. I'm like, I'm not moving. The bus driver is this East Indian guy. He's like, "Hey, well, when do you get on the bus?" And I pointed. And then she points at me, and then he looks at me and he's like, you know, she's not. Just get on. So I looked at him, I swipe my little thing, and I go to the back of the bus, and I'm sitting in the back of the bus, hella wet, and I'm angry, and I'm looking at her, and she's just sitting towards the front. And I start thinking like, oh, this lady's hella racist. Then I had to admit, a lot of black dudes was going around beating up Asian people. Hashtag stop Asian hate. It's a real thing. And I said, but yeah, but that's not who you are. And I started thinking about how the old me would have went up to her and tried to have a conversation about, you know, black people and I'm not a threat. I thought about how the old me might have like yelled at her and tried to tell her she was racist and it wasn't right. And I said, the dichotomy of control. You are not in control of what she thinks about black people, how she feels about black people. You're not in control about how she acts when she's in the presence of black people like you. Your ability to impact how she sees blackness, black people, violence, or anything else, especially in a time of hashtag stop Asian hate because it is real. Like, why would you even bother? Even if she's super racist, why would you bother? And I totally calmed down. And I said, I'm going to put this in my journal. We got off. We started walking toward the BART station. As I got off, though, the bus driver, he reached out and he stopped me and he said, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry that happened. And I was like, people are just going to be who they are, man, right? And I'm going to be me. And then I went and got on the train. Had I not been Stoic journaling, I would have thought about that totally different. I would have functioned totally different. Even if I didn't speak to her, I would have thought of myself and her totally different. That's just one thing. There's been times when I've like had my heart broken, been shattered by different things, different experiences, different illnesses and sicknesses. And then when you come back to your book and you go through it, you will see uh how much you've grown. How much things that you thought would cut you forever, you totally transcend with incredible grace, with incredible wisdom. One day I had a really bad day and I wrote about it for several days straight. And then, like a year later, I was just opening, sometimes I just open my journal and went back. I forgot that happened. You already survived one of the worst days of your life. You already survived this pain. You already survived this emotional abuse. You already survived what somebody said. You always survived. And all of a sudden, you have this like internal belief in yourself and your ability to navigate through so much. That doesn't mean you ain't gonna cry. That doesn't mean you won't cry while you're writing. It doesn't mean that everything just becomes an open field of daffodils. But it means you're actually in tune with yourself instead of pretending to be. It means you can discern when your ego's really in play or when you're really getting depressed. And you already know how to look into solutions for it. You already know the practices you can take. Or if you don't, you can start researching them. But I want you to Stoic journal for 21 days. Okay? 21 days. We'll do it together. This is a challenge for you to step into the beginnings of Stoicism and learn and see for yourself how taking on Stoic practices can shift everything that's going on in your world. And remember, you can be a person of faith or you can be an atheist, someone who doesn't believe in God at all. You can be an agnostic, someone who's not sure. Maybe there is a God, maybe there isn't, but it doesn't talk to us. You can be anywhere in between. Do this exercise and benefit. Thank you for taking the time to hang out on Bishop Chronicles. Thank you for putting up with my crazy sinuses. Thank you for your patience. Please do uh, consider getting a paid subscription. The Gangstar stuff I just posted, the Nas stuff I just posted. I got a lot of the Tupac. Come on, man. You know you ain't getting that nowhere else. You cannot get it anywhere else. I got more to share. A lot more to share. Um, Also, don't forget May 17th and 18th at the Afro Bushido Academy. I am doing a no-gi jiu-jitsu and wrestling uh, seminar, 2 days, with none other than Carlos Levexier, who's one of the greatest uh, coaches I've ever come across in wrestling and one of the greatest wrestling historians ever. He's going to be on the show before we do it. Go to afrobushidoacademy.com, right? Or you can DM me for more information. It's a 2 day seminar, 3 days each. I mean, 3 hours each, 3 hours, 2 days, May 17th and 18th. And I really look forward to seeing you there. It's going to be crazy. I'm going to show some beautiful stuff a lot of people ain't seen from me. And he is just bringing such top tier wrestling. You do not need experience to be a part of this. You don't. And there's a coupon code, GRAPPLE, all lowercase, GRAPPLE. All right. You do that, it'll cut your price down. I look forward to seeing you then. And stay in your journal, stay stoic. Talk to you soon. I'm gone. Peace.